One. Welcome to episode 59 of the Face of the Future podcast. It's your boy Mills.
It's your boy Shan.
It's your boy Mansa Moose. What's good?
What's good, my guys? What y'all been up to, man? There's a lot to discuss today. A lot of updates from last episode. A lot of controversial stuff that's been going on. I know you guys have your opinions, so let's get right to it. Deshaun Watson. More and more details continue to come out. Last episode, we discussed how unidentified massage therapist came out and gave details about encounters with Deshaun Watson, and now there's been press conferences. I think this is the same woman that they didn't disclose at first. If I'm wrong, correct me. But they did a whole press conference. She was distraught in the press conference, detailing like what went on and how Deshaun Watson made her feel in those times when they encountered each other. I know you guys both saw the video clips, so react.
It's cap.
Cap.
It's all cap. It's all cap.
That's a shame. That's a shame, bro.
It's not a shame. It's cap, and I don't mean
how.
Bro, it's cap. This is what I'm saying, bro.
What proof do you have that it's cap, Toby?
So let's think about it like this.
What proof do you have? Where's your proof?
Because
that it's cap.
If it wasn't cap, they would have been dropped Deshaun Watson by now. They would have been cut him. Think about it.
I don't know, bro. NFL still going to do their due diligence, bro. And he already got dropped by Nike. Nike already dropped him.
No, he got suspended by Nike.
Still.
There's a difference. No, there's a difference. There's a difference, Shannon. There's a difference, bro. Like, let's keep it a stack. I'm not saying it's capped from a standpoint of Deshaun Watson didn't do nothing, but what you have to look at it is this, right? And this is what I said like 2-3 episodes ago. It don't make sense that this shit happened and everything came out the way that it did, and now all of a sudden Deshaun Watson is still on the team. Like, really, like, honestly, sit down and think about it. Like, you came out, someone said, okay, we're going to pay you $100K or pay us $100K or it's not going to look good for you. Then all of a sudden, one by one, first it was 3. Then in the same week, another 10, 15 other girls came out. The week after, another 3. Then the week after, oh, now we're revealing the faces. It looks like, this sounds weird, but it sounds too strategic for my liking. It doesn't seem like, okay, this was something that wasn't like, it sounds like it was collusion, to be honest with you.
So you think this was an attack on Deshaun Watson?
They're doing all this because this man requested a trade.
Yes, they paid him 151 million. Was it how much? However was it? They paid him hella bread. And my thing is this, and this is why I'm saying this is capped the way that everything's playing out. I guarantee you that the Texans knew about this. They just covered it up. And that's why I'm saying this is all capped because for all the girls to come out like this, and for it to come to this point like this, it's one or two options. Either they really don't like Deshaun Watson, or the Texans knew and they just swept it under the rug for him. That's what I'm saying is cap.
So let me ask you this. When it comes to the situation, you're saying the situation in the way that this is all being handled is cap, or are you saying that none of this stuff that they're accusing Deshaun Watson of doing happened?
I'm leaning more towards the way that everything's being handled, because it comes off to me as foul play from the Texans. I'm not denying the fact that Deshaun Watson could have done this. That's not even my point at this point, because it's like at this point we have to listen. Like, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but there's 41 women total that we have to take account for. You know what I'm saying? So it's like at that point, it's very, very hard to be like, oh yeah, she's telling the truth. She's not telling the truth. She's telling the truth. She's not telling the truth. And that's why I'm saying taking that out, because I'm not going to sit here and start doing that, because at that point, people are going to start saying I'm misogynist, patriarchy, all that bullshit. But what I'm trying to say is how this looks, it really looks to me like the Texans knew about this from the jump. Because
I want to go to the.
What you say about that? The reason I think nothing is happening from the NFL's part is because they don't have enough evidence to do anything yet. I mean, the first girl that came forward said anything, they still have to do their own investigation before the NFL makes any decision on it. That's why I don't think he's been dropped by the league or put on the exempt list.
So my thing is that, so then going back to Chad Wheeler, how come they cut Chad Wheeler so fast?
because it was clear evidence that he beat the hell out of his girlfriend. There's no evidence, in fact, that Deshaun Watson raped these girls. Do they have proof of that? They can't. I mean, and how are they going to prove something that happened in the past?
Also, let's be clear. It wasn't rape. It was sexual harassment. Because there's a very distinct difference.
So how can they prove that? Is what I'm saying. With Traveler, they had clear proof right in front of their face. With this, they don't have any proof.
Where my problem comes in is that I get it that there's no proof. I get it, but I just feel like there's nothing happening, and that's where my problem comes in. It's like the Texans have been dead silent except for one statement, and that's why it looks very, 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 very suspect to me. It's like you guys are just leaving out in the dark. Deshaun Watson, and that's why I said this all looks a little bit of cat, because now going back to Deshaun Watson, it's like, okay, so why have you been silent this whole time? Have you been silent because of this, or were you silent because you really just didn't want to say anything?
He spoke through his lawyers, though.
I mean, yeah, he spoke through his lawyer. I'm not saying that he hasn't spoke through his lawyers. What I'm saying is that everything now, when you look at everything now, everything looks really funny. Everything looks really funny on both sides.
I think it'd be
funny in which way, though?
It looks funny in both ways, because it's like, okay, a total of 22 women came. In a week now, a total of 18 women came.
Okay.
A total of 18 women came. Now a total of like 41 women have been counted for.
How do you know they didn't build up the confidence though to come after they saw a couple other people?
Because that does happen.
Are you talking about the women? Are you talking about the women that came up against Deshaun Watson?
I'm talking about the women that came up. So you remember how you said there was only a couple of women that came up first, and then a whole string of them came up after. How do you know that the women that came up after were waiting because they didn't want to do that by themselves? Because that's a hard position to put yourself in.
Because they're all represented by the same lawyer who lives across the street from the owner of the Texans. Everything looks. That's what I'm saying. It's like. It's not even like, it seems like a class action lawsuit against one nigga. And I'm not saying this from a standpoint, like the chances of them all going to the same lawyer and all filing a civil suit against him, it seems suspect. And for them, and now it even seems more suspect because it's like, why is it that it's only the lawyer that lives across the street from y'all that's representing a total of 22 women? Because at the end of the day, y'all had to have known about this. There's no way that 22 women that are all represented by the same lawyer, who all came out in the same exact week, sporadically in the same week, and y'all all not represented by. And y'all didn't.
That know. I can agree with. That is sketchy, because that lawyer is very close with the Texans. So when you say that they probably knew about it before it made news, they probably did know about it before it made news because of those facts. That I'll agree with.
I'll go even further and say they knew about. This is my thing, right? In about when it comes to situations like this, and this is another reason why I said I'm still sketchy about the situation. Let's refer back to Bill Cosby, for example, right? With Bill Cosby, when that situation did happen, we still heard about it previously. He had a previous case. You know what I'm saying? He had a previous case. It was in there documented. They settled it, whatever. Same thing with R. Kelly. The previous thing happened. Deshaun Watson, nobody heard a thing. And that's why I said a couple episodes ago, I'm like, I would love to hear about a girl that he talked to from Clemson, or a girl that he talked to when he just got out the league, so we can have more information. But it's like, we heard nothing, then we heard everything. And then we heard even more than everything. And now it's just like, it sounds bad, but it just looks like a very, very big mess, because it's like, yo, this just came out of nowhere. And that's why it's like, for me, it's like that's why I said it's like, there's a whole bunch of different moving parts to this. From the Texan side, y'all knew about this from day one. And there's probably things that y'all probably knew ahead of time that y'all didn't say anything about, because Deshaun Watson was that good. Y'all didn't want that flag, probably everything that was going on with the team. From Deshaun Watson's side, regardless of if he did it or not, nigga weird as hell, because he's gotten 41 masseuses. And he's flown some of them out.
He has very predatory vibes, bro, because it's not like we say, he could hire somebody that could, do that shit for him and pay him. But he wants women that are like, no, or not comfortable with it, Very predatory vibes. He's a pervert. If all this comes out to be true. You know what I mean?
But but I get that. But it's like, would I call it predatorial though? Like
Hold on. Why wouldn't you call it predatory though?
How is it not predatory?
Let's ask this.
I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this in the sense of it's. But I'm not saying this in the sense of like it couldn't. But I'm like, would predatory be the proper word? Because it's
that's why I said like pervert. Let's break it down like this.
Pervert sounds like a better word than just saying predatorial. Because when you say predatorial, it sounds like how do I say this? It's like it sounds like you've been plotting on them to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what do you think?
I mean, clearly he has a pattern.
Yeah,
I can agree with it being a pattern. I don't know. I mean, I guess
I get what you're saying though. You just trying to find the right word to use for it.
Yeah, because it's
I get that.
That's the thing that's the thing that stuck out to me the most though, was that kind of like changed my perspective on like the whole situation. Not necessarily the dealings that the organization and the NFL and the lawmakers have with the case, but Deshaun Watson himself, and like what made this even more believable than it was before is when that news came out about him hitting up over 41 different women to do massage therapy on him. Like, bro, think about it like this. When we're training as athletes, even when we go to the training room, we have like a specific trainer that we like to go to because they know they do the stuff the right way, whatever it may be. So now put it on a larger scale. Like you're a pro athlete. Even you see LeBron James and all those people, bro, they work with their specific trainer because they know what the ins and outs of their body, they're comfortable with them. How often do you see someone go to 41 different people to get a result?
That's why I said
regular ass massage parlors. Like it's not even like, it's just weird. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing is just sketchy. You know what I mean? So, and if it all comes out to be true, I mean, obviously we all hope it isn't true for the sake of everybody, for the sake of Deshaun Watson and for the sake of all the women that are making these allegations against him. And that's another reason I think the NFL hasn't done anything, because it's all just allegations right now. Again, with the Chad Wheeler thing, it was concrete proof. You could see pictures of the woman that he beat with black eyes and everything. With this situation, there is no proof of what he did yet. So they can't really move and make it. I mean, they could probably suspend him just because of how bad the allegations are, but because there's no concrete proof right now, I think that's why they haven't made a move yet. But I think it's coming soon with this new allegation that just came out.
Let me ask you all this. Do you think now at the current state right now, I ask you guys this every time we on the pod talking about this, current state right now with even the more information that just came out, the press conference that just came out, do you think Deshaun Watson has a way out of this in terms of not just his playing career, but his reputation in the future? Just off the allegations, not off the convictions, just based off the allegations.
Of course.
If it all comes out to not be true, then he'll be fine. I mean, obviously, regardless, is a bad look. Regardless, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like this, it always kind of sticks with you. But I think if it comes out to not be true, he'll get over it eventually. It'll pass.
Even if it is true.
That's a big if, though.
Even if it is true, he's still gonna be good.
I don't think so.
What do you mean he's gonna be good?
He's not gonna be good,
bro. If
think
you
about it, bro.
have sexually assaulted 40 plus women in the NFL, they are not going to allow him to be on their platform. How would that look for the NFL? 49% of the NFL fans are women. There's no way they could allow him to be in the league, bro. There's no way. There's no way.
I'm not saying he's gonna be in the league, but he's gonna be okay. Like, my thing is that at the end of the day, Greg Hardy put his hands on somebody. He got kicked out the league. He was all right.
What he won, bro? Nah, bro.
I'm telling you, bro.
Is he doing all right?
I'm saying this, but I'm not saying this from a standpoint of, oh my gosh, he's gonna live a happily ever after life. He's gonna be an actor and be an alt. But I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, there's somebody somewhere out there that really don't believe that he did that shit. There's probably a company somewhere that really don't believe he did that shit.
Plenty of people. I don't know how to
be true in the course, bro. He's going to jail. He's going to jail, bro.
He's not going to jail.
Convicted of 41 people? Bro, are you serious?
He's not going to jail.
You're not going to jail if he gets convicted of sexual assault.
What makes you say what makes you say that?
Because one, it's not a criminal trial. Two, it's a civil trial.
One of them is the one that filed with the police.
So if that's a criminal trial, what's probably going to end up happening is that he'll probably end up finding a way to settle outside of court, and he'll sign an NDA and he'll pay her a non-disclosed amount of money, and he'll be A-okay. He has the money to pay for a really, really good ass lawyer.
Let me ask you guys.
He's going to end up having to pay damages.
If he ends up settling out of court, that'll be a bad look. It means he's somewhat guilty.
Not necessarily.
And if he's only exempt to that point, and if Houston take away all his bread and he loses all his endorsements, he won't have no money to sign.
Not necessarily. Ronaldo had a situation like that. He had a situation where a girl accused him of rape, and he ended up settling outside of court.
I just think the numbers is so drastic that it's like hard to like turn your head the other way. That's just if you were to get like convicted of all of these allegations, and you're more knowledgeable when it comes to like the legal system, justice system than I am. So I got to ask you this: when it comes to like criminal cases, do you not, or criminal versus civil cases? For civil cases, you can't go to jail. It's money or what?
Civil cases, you end up paying damages. So you just end up paying a certain amount of money.
Okay.
So it's like, for example, like Martin Luther King, for example, they had a trial with the government saying that that the government had killed Martin Luther King Jr. They didn't win a criminal trial, but when they took it to civil, they basically admitted that they killed Dr. Martin Luther King. They had to pay the King family X amount of dollars. So like civil cases and criminal cases are two completely different handlings. So
yeah, the same thing happened with the OJ.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Okay, that makes sense. I just want to clarify. Like I had some idea, but like I wasn't for sure that you couldn't go to jail at all. Go ahead.
Here's another thing I have. Let's say, right, living in today's day and age, the way things are, would you, as a company, give Deshaun Watson business because of the optics and how bad it looks? People are going to look at it and say, "How could you do business with somebody like that?"
I'll speak on it. From my standpoint, I feel it depends on what comes of the whole situation. Like I personally would have to look at what went on, what was said, that type of stuff, and then look at the convictions. Like if he was convicted of doing everything that everybody said with no questions asked, like it'd be hard for I probably wouldn't do business with him based on the type of person he is.
Correct.
You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing is just the person. Like before you even do business, like would you on a regular basis associate yourself with somebody, whether it's Deshaun Watson, whoever it may be, that else been confused, convicted of stuff like this? Would you associate yourself on a daily basis with somebody who acts in this manner?
No.
So that's how I would look at it.
Right.
When it comes to that standpoint. If it comes out that he didn't do anything, then why not?
Right.
I look at it as, I think on the surface, how it looks, of course, I wouldn't do that. But the thing is with people, the thing is with companies and people always pay people under the table. They always do certain things. So it's like, it's not to say that I wouldn't, but it's more so about like what people do underground. There's a lot of things that companies do underground that we don't know. There's a lot of things, probably a lot of people that they endorse that we wouldn't be happy with. Like McDonald's funds private prisons.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like
corporations do.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, so from your standpoint, you're right on the surface. Of course not. Nobody wants to do that. But it's like it goes to the same thing as like all the major corporations, like even private funders for elections. Like half of these people probably fund half the Republican National Convention. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're right in a sense of like, I wouldn't do it on the surface, but under the table, of course. Yeah.
So let's jump in. Since we're on the NFL, let's stay on the NFL. Some crazy news just happened today. Ex-NFL player Phillip Adams, he was a 6-year NFL vet, played on multiple teams. He was just all over the news for murdering 5 people, a doctor that he used to go to, the doctor's wife, 2 grandchildren, and one of the people that worked at the house.
Young kids too.
And nobody knows why. Like people are trying to figure out how did this happen. And the only like response you really got outside of like the doctors and people saying it was shocking that the doctor got killed and things of that nature was the response from his father. And his father, and I looked at the video that they put on ABC News, and he said Phillip was a good kid, which most parents will always say. But the thing that stood out to me with the most is he got shaky when he said football really messed him up. Like, and the conversation we've always discussed on the pod, being athletes and playing football, is like the CT and the damage that happens to football players throughout their career. And a stat that ABC put up was that he had 2 concussions over the span of like 3 days, I think it was, during his career. Don't quote me, but if you go back and look, it was a very short period of time. He had 2 concussions in a very short period of time. So, and I know, Shannon, you've had concussions before. I've had probably concussions in the past.
You have, bro. You have. We all have. Come on now.
We've all had a concussion.
Yeah.
No, I definitely, no, there's no probably I have. I've had concussions in the past. So with something this drastic happening, it's not the first time this happened because he committed suicide after doing these murders and all this stuff. On the surface level, without, because we have no facts, nobody knows why this happened. Just based off the information I just gave you and what we've heard, do you think this will have an effect on the NFL as a whole in the rules they put in place in the future?
You want to go, Shannon, or do you want me to go?
Go ahead, because I feel like we probably had the same opinion on this one.
Bro, this shit is so fucking sad. Excuse my language, but this is so damn sad. It's like, I think that sports need to do a better job, especially contact sports. They need to have a better job of how they transition players out the league. I don't think that a lot of players, whether or not they end up because they just don't get picked up by another team or because of injuries or they retire, unless you're like the top 10% of football players or contact sports players, there's not enough done for transitioning out the league, you know? And I feel like when you have these types of situations, you have to sit here, especially with the NFL, you have to make sure that these players are okay. Like you just had Aaron Hernandez, who essentially was shown to be a psychopath. You know what I'm saying? And now you have I forgot his name, but you have this guy now who looked like he was under the same path, where it's like he was just angry, of course, obviously, and both ended up with the same result. They both ended up killing themselves. And so my thing is that if the NFL doesn't wake up to this now, especially with CTE, especially with the Aaron Hernandez document just coming out recently and having this situation, we don't know what's going to happen next. I get it. They're changing the helmets or whatever, trying to make the game safer, but it's still not enough. It's not. Like, you need to be able to make sure that these guys are okay. You're playing a violent sport. You're playing a violent sport for basically almost half of the year, basically the whole year. You know what I mean? And you don't think that would psychologically affect somebody, even if you're just a quarterback? Like, you need to really think about these things. And I don't think that the NFL really thinks about that. It's a trillion. Let me not say trillion. It's like they make billions of dollars each year. And for them to not even find better ways of transitioning these people out, for them not to have, I guess, I mean, I don't know because I'm not in the NFL, but for them not to have services for these players, pension, healthcare plans, things of that nature, like they need these things because it's important for people coming outside of the league who's leaving the NFL, not just saying, oh, I got cut from a team. You are in the league, this brotherhood, this shit shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The NFL is notoriously known for kind of, after they get what they get out of you, they just kind of shoo you off. I definitely don't think that there's enough help for these guys to help them establish themselves after their career. I mean, there's no way that football players especially shouldn't have sports psychologists, in my opinion. They need it, especially that it's just the mental trauma, the physical trauma, the whole 9 yards. I mean, like you said, it's an extremely violent game, just to put it into perspective. When we talk about concussions, right? It takes 20 G's of force to get a concussion. The average hit on the football field is 100 G's. So essentially, we are almost never not playing concussed. You know what I'm saying? So,
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So essentially, from the time we start hitting in August to the end of your season ended what, Mills, in college in December? Sometime December. December, yeah. So no, high school ends in November, college into December, some January. So you're concussed from August to December. You know what I'm saying? When you think about it, and it doesn't matter how long you've played, because they found CTE cases in kids as young as 13 to kids as old as 18 to grown men. You know what I'm saying? And if you think about people like us, I played from the time I was 5 to the time I was 19, 14 years of contact. Mills, you played till you were 22, 23 years old. You know what I'm saying? Ray played till he was 22, 23. You know what I'm saying? There's guys, if you look at Tom Brady, even though he's played quarterback, he's been in the league, 21 years? Mm-hmm. That's 21 years of hits. And if you watch his documentary, his wife talked about the fact that she wanted him to stop playing a long time ago because of the concussions. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a big part of it. And I think the NFL has done a horrible job from day one, especially when CTE was even discovered and introduced by Dr. Bennett Amalu. They didn't even want to accept it.
Yeah.
They tried to almost shun him. They tried to shut him up. They were like following him around, making threats to him, the whole 9 yards. And, it's scary. It's scary because it's real. It doesn't take much to get it. And I would be a liar if I sat here and said it was something that I personally worried about, because I dealt with multiple concussions over my career. And like I said, it doesn't take no certain amount of years you have to play to get it. So I would be a liar if I said I wasn't concerned about it going forward in the future. But I mean, it's sad when you see situations like this, like a Junior Seau who killed himself and stuff like that. And like Mike Webster, who was the first known case of CTE, I'm saying? You've seen a lot of guys, David Durison, I'm saying? You've seen a lot of guys that have just crumbled due to it, I'm saying? But at the same time, a lot of people are willing to pay the price of CTE to feed their families and to make it to the league and to make it out. So, but nevertheless, it's a sad situation.
Now that we think so we're on the outside of like past our football and playing careers and sports careers and things of that nature. Why do you think when we're in the moment and we know, because there's been points in time we know how bad like concussions are, we know how bad like the repercussions are. Why do you? Because I've even had troubles like just with sitting out from something because of something like this. Like we never took it as serious. You feel me? So why do you feel as though when we're in that moment as a player, as an athlete, we don't take it as serious as we should?
Pick me, coach. Pick me.
Go ahead.
Pick me. Pick me. It's because of our ego. We're guys.
Yeah.
It's an ego thing. And it's like, this is so weird. We've been doing hella callbacks, but like, just thinking about it, when we first talked about ego, we looked at Kanye West, right? Mm-hmm. And when you see how his ego drove him to where he is now, it's like, damn, it's a pretty great feat. But then at the same time, it's like you see what ego does with people like Aaron Hernandez, or you see what happens with that Lakers player that just beat up his girlfriend, or you see Chad Wheeler, things of that nature. It's like ego is a two-edged sword that we don't really talk about. Like the ego can drive you and can motivate you because, you don't want people thinking that you some scrub and you really believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like there's that dark spot of like insecurity that we don't talk about as men, where it's like you're at the top of your career, you're doing everything that you need to do, and the next thing you know, you're going. That hurts people. You know what I'm saying? It hurts guys a lot because it's like you the man, everybody looking at you, everybody giving you shine, you're getting hella shine, hella love from girls, and then it's just taken away from you. And it's like when that happens, it's like that's where that dark side of that ego comes in, and people don't really pay attention to that. The ego is only cool because it gets you the girls, it gets you, get you the money, it gets you what you achieve sometimes. But it's like when we look at the other side of the coin, we never really address how a lot of insecurities are what's pushing our egos. And when we can't use our egos anymore, that's when our insecurities come out. And I think that we need to have more discussions with that, because sometimes having an ego, like I said before, it's a great thing to have when used properly. But when it's not used properly, you end up in situations like this.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, that. I'll tell my story. That's probably one of my favorite things you ever said on this podcast. So the ego and insecurities, I think they go hand in hand in the situation. I'll tell a little bit of my own story for a second, because I can remember games back in high school where I was concussed. I knew I was concussed. Didn't tell nobody. Went back in the game and played anyway, without thinking about it. And I can remember, how we used to watch film the next day on Saturday. I can remember being there and saying, like, I don't even fucking remember that play. You know what I'm saying? And I know you feel the same way too, Mel. You know what I'm saying? I don't even remember that play fucking happening. You know what I'm saying? And then when I would go back and watch film, I would be able to tell myself, like, oh, here, I'm clearly fucked up. Clearly fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And when I got to college, I started as a freshman. So already that goes to your head, right? Mm-hmm. I think I'm somebody now, at least to myself. I get a concussion. So when I took the concussion test, is out of 100, I got a 9. Right. The next one I took, I got a 17. I sort of kind of figured out how I could cheat the test and pass it to when I got a 94. A week later, I clearly rushed back, got another concussion. You know what I'm saying? And that the ego in me wanting to be somebody, want to be a popular boy on campus kind of definitely drove that me. Let me hurry up and get back so I can get back on the field because I'm Superman. You know what I'm saying? Ain't shit gonna happen to me. I've been playing concussed for years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it ended up almost ended my career in the long run. Pretty much did. You know what I'm saying? So I think if looking back on it now, I should have took those 2 concussions after the second one that happened a week after the other one, sat out the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Because that's a fucking brain injury when you think about that shit. That's why I get so mad at myself now, because it's a fucking brain injury. You know what I'm saying? So I think that ego and the insecurities of wanting to be somebody that's popular or looked at, or I'm the man on the field, that goes hand in hand with this kind of shit for sure.
That's the same thing that happened to me in high school. Like I remember I had an injury. Like I had shin splints, and I had shin splints, and then I ended up having Achilles tendonitis, right? And once I remember going to that athletic trainer, they're like, yeah, no, like you need to be careful with your leg. Like there was a girl like who was running track and she broke her leg running. Like she broke her leg just running. It wasn't even like she fell. She just broke her leg because she had shin splints. She had a stress fracture, fractured her leg. I'm like, man, do you know who I am? I'm indestructible. I don't care about none of that. This is me coming off. I just got a hernia that semester, that earlier that year.
You injury prone,
earlier that year. This what happened.
No durability.
That was from I was the Ironman competition. I remember perfect. I was trying to lift like 335 and I heard pop. That was the end of it. But anyways, I got Achilles tendonitis and I'm like, yo, like I'm not about to sit here and miss track because of my leg. You know what I started doing? Started popping Advil. I popped 6 Advil immediately when I woke up in bed 6 a.m. and I popped another 6 and I popped another 6 right before practice. And that's what kept me up the whole time. And I'll never forget it. I went through a whole pack of Advil, like 300 capsules in like 2 weeks. That's nuts. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I was only because like, yo, like I wanted to run. Like I didn't want to be the nigga missing dual meets or missing points or whatever. Like I didn't want to be that guy, but it's like, yo, you gotta really think about it. I could have never walked again. I could have lost my leg. Like no cap, I could have lost my leg. I could have torn my groin even more, which I did because I didn't get it done a couple years ago. But that's besides the point. But it's like I could have really ruined my body and I could have really ruined my self-esteem doing that. But it was all because of the fact of like in the now we cared so much about being that guy, being that nigga, being Mr. Shine, where it's like whatever happens, And I think that it did make me insecure because like, dang, like I don't want to be hurt. Everybody getting better than me. Like, I just didn't want to be the slow guy, or I don't want to be the dude that loses my hands, or I don't want to be soft when we come back, making contact, all that stuff. And it's really weird, like what your ego will really make you do when you really, really think about it. That's why it's like going back to like even guys who sexually abuse women, like go out of their way to sexually abuse women. It's an ego thing. It's a power thing. When it's like we look at these different things and it's like we always address the ego when it's good, but we never really figured out how to deal with the ego when it's bad. And that's the biggest thing that I think that we as people, both men and women, need to figure out.
Right. Go ahead, Shannon. What you want to say?
Yeah, because I love talking about this concussion shit. I love it.
So
and I also think one of the problems when it comes to football players is, we all heard the term, oh, you just got your bell rung.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a fucking brain injury. You know what I'm saying? Because we all know your brain sits in your skull, but it's not compact. You know what I'm saying? Your brain moves. So
think about the little helmets that we wore back in the day had no protection.
Right. No type of protection at all. So when you get your brain is injured, your brain is literally injured. So I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that football players we're all supposed to be Iron Men, tough guys. We're playing on the gridiron. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you all right? Get your ass back in there. You know what I'm saying? You just got your bell rung. You know what I'm saying? But that's also the culture of the game, right? Knowing what I know now, when I see a player that I might think I see him get the bell rung, quote unquote, I'll say, yo, coach, you got to get him checked out by the trainer. Yeah, by the trainer, not by you, by the trainer. And I want the trainer to then tell me he can go back into the game, because the trainer is not going to let a player go back into the game if he's fucked up.
Yeah.
But a coach might have him come to the sideline and stand there for 2 plays and then put him back in. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, Tobe, I can remember even being in college, them giving me fucking Vicodin, giving me like 1,800 milligram ibuprofen, giving me all the shit to cure these headaches. You know what I'm saying? And I thought about it like, that's the kind of shit that can lead kids at that age to fucking addiction issues. You giving kids strong drugs like that, at that age, when you're already away from your parents, you don't really have anybody to monitor you, and they just feeding you narcotics.
I've seen that before though. Like, I ain't gonna disclose who, but like I've seen that before just in general. In different places I've been
Right.
playing, that kids start to rely on that. Like, oh, I can't perform unless I have this. I'm gonna be hurting if I don't have this. Like, whether it's because I've seen people ibuprofen. You know what I'm saying? Ibuprofen is your best friend in playing football in college. You say that's your best friend. You walk around with whatever it may be. But then it gets to the point where you get like cortisone shots. People are like, I need this so I don't feel this pain to finish the rest of the season. I've had friends play with broken hands and torn muscles with the cortisone shot or torn shoulders, whatever it may be. I've seen it multiple times, and it's just like, that's not good now that we think about it. But how much of that do we put on? We talk about the highest level when it comes to like the NFL's organization, but when you go down to like the smaller levels, when as a ref, when you're talking about to the coaches, how much of fault do you put on the coaches for not really? They say they care about the players, whatever it may be, but when in that moment, do they really care?
No, I mean, I say that of course they care, but in the moment, in the heated battle, your focus is winning the game, right? Your main focus is winning the game. So, I fault them. Some coaches, I won't even have to tell some coaches, they're like, yo, come sit down or go see the trainer.
I will say that too.
But for the most part, especially now today, because these coaches now have to go through concussion training. They got to go through courses now where they're learning about this stuff. So, and now it's a huge liability issue. You know what I mean? So I think in a heated moment, it's kind of hard, especially when it's a player like your star quarterback or who gets his bell rung. You kind of want to be like, damn, I need him to get back in the game so we can fucking win. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think it's hard, but I think that you have to do your due diligence and realize that you're talking about the long-term health of players. And the thing that I'll keep saying is that it's a brain injury. Your ankle will heal. Your broken finger will heal. A brain injury, you don't know how long that's going to take to heal. You don't know. You don't know. So you need to take that with extreme caution. I don't know a football player that hasn't suffered multiple concussions. I don't know one. And like I said,
probably at least 2, 3.
And
if they play for long, at least 2 or 3.
That they know of, though. But like I just said, it only takes 20 G's of force to get a concussion, and we are hitting at 100 G's on average. So those things that you don't see coming, like Mills loves to do when Bull's coming over the middle when he got a free shot. That's more than 100. That's more than 100 G's of force.
Oh yeah, bro.
You know what I mean? So players are playing concussed constantly.
And let me ask you this, because I know Toby talked about like shin splints and pulling groins and stuff like that. Why were we so worried about those type of injuries, like pulling a hammy, breaking an arm, whatever? But concussions never was something we was worried about. Like, we weren't ever worried about, oh, I need to go in a certain way so I don't hurt my brain or injure my brain.
I think also at the time that we played, the culture, and I don't think that there was as much research being done on as is now. When we were playing in high school, CTE was just now getting discovered and talked about. It was like just happening. Nowadays, there's much more technology on it. There's much more studies on it. There's much more people that are advocating for it, for concussions and talking about it. And not just football, in all sports, because soccer is another sport that concussions are extremely common in. You know what I mean? So I think that those talks are now being had more and more and more. But for us, we were kind of on the back end of that.
One question before you go, Toby. Because I want to ask both, because you watch soccer, you both watch soccer a lot, but I know Toby watches soccer a whole lot. When it comes to concussions with the soccer ball, bro, how does that feel doing headers? Like, yes, because them soccer balls is rock solid,
rock hard, bro.
But I mean, it depends though. It depends because sometimes, okay, if you're passing the ball, depending on the force that they're using, it's not going to be as bad, right? Because you're preparing for it. But if someone comes in and they're really trying to launch it across the other side of the field and you get hit in the head with that shit's going to hurt. That shit is going to hurt.
It's not going to lob and that shit's going up and it's coming down.
Even in the cold, because they be playing in the cold, like in England and all that stuff, like in them cold games, you do a corner kick and, like you said, you lob it in there and people, or even not just the header, like when two people are trying to go and they knock heads or something like that. Like,
they knock heads is nuts. But like, I mean, I don't think headers are as bad as people think, because it's like there's a lot less force being used on it compared to like if you have like your goalie trying to launch it back onto the other side of 18. So it's like it really just depends. But soccer does have a lot of common concussions. They be getting hurt OD, but people don't be knowing that because soccer, they're foot fairies. Yeah.
I have one more thing to say about football, and then I'm gonna be off this topic because I've been ranting this whole time.
Oh, you love it, right? I love it.
To me, what age did y'all start playing football? Tackle.
5.
right? 5 years old, right? There's no reason that kids at that age, to me, should be tackling full contact, right?
Yeah.
Now when we think about it,
a lot of these kids that I see, parents are putting them in the game to get them active, to get them acclimated to a sport, to get them around a team, right? A lot of these kids don't understand the game at that age. They don't know how to properly protect themselves. Now you have some kids that get it, you know what I'm saying, that get it immediately, that know how to hit, know how to run, know how to lower their shoulder, the whole thing. But you have a lot of kids that don't know how to protect themselves. And a lot of kids who be, let's be frank, at 5 years old, they don't want to be out there. They're doing it because their parents are making them do it. So there's a lot of times where I've seen the kids that get it versus the kids that don't. And those hits are so violent that I will literally in the middle of a game kind of just, cringe, because I'm like, kids at this age shouldn't be knocking heads. They shouldn't be knocking heads at the age of 5. You know what I'm saying? So that,
especially when your helmet bigger than your whole body. Too.
Exactly.
Nah, honestly.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So
out there running around like Chicken Little with their heads cut off and stuff.
Exactly.
I don't know about that, but let's get into the Face of the Future song of the day, presented by MBT. Check us out on all social platforms on Instagram, MBT_1%. Check us out on Twitter, MBT the Future. And also check out all our video content at MBT Faces of the Future on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. The Face of the Future song of the day comes from Ashtin, Larold, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's from South Jersey. He came across his song. My boy Julian, who I was just on his podcast, Trendifier. Shout out to the Trendifier. Ashtin Larold, the song's Broken. Once again, he's a up and coming pop star from South Jersey, so check it out. Once again, that was Ashtin Larold, Broken. Check it out. It's streaming on all platforms. Let's jump into some more controversial topics. Let's start with our favorite guy, Draymond. You know what I'm saying? On the court, I like Draymond, but he's under fire after.
Because he averaged like 2.5 points a game.
No. Moose. Mills is Draymond Green on the court, bro. Mills is Draymond Green. That's why he loves him. Mills would do exactly what Draymond does, bro. That's why he loves him so much.
Oh, nah.
The trash talk, all that. That's Mills on the court, bro.
I could get 0 points, 10 boards. I'll be good.
That's what and we'll still be talking trash like he dominating. We talking trash like he the best player on the court.
My mid-range game ain't one though. That's all that matters. I'm not shooting threes like Draymond though. I'm not shooting threes, but I'll get bro. If I was in the league, if I was Draymond's, all right, put me in Draymond's body. I'm at least getting a double every game, bro. I'm getting a double.
Should be getting a double, but
I'm getting 15 and 10.
That's neither here nor there about Draymond's career.
You said what?
That's neither here nor there. Because I think he's been overrated for a couple of years now, but that's just me. What do I know?
How many rings he got? 2, 3?
He got 3, but never mind. I'm not gonna get into it right now.
I hate the ring.
It's not the ring talk, but also the year that they lost,
he was an integral part in those rings.
That's all I wanted to say. You can't act like
he's an integral part.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna compare him to Dennis Rodman, but he's a similar for the Warriors on that team.
He's an integral part for those rings. I give you that.
But back to the topic at hand. Draymond, we're not firing off on Draymond right now, but we are about to fire off on Draymond after we listen to this clip. So let's run this clip real quick, listen what Draymond had to say, and we're gonna react to it. All right, now that y'all heard the clip, what do y'all think about what Draymond had to say about the WNBA and them complaining? Because that's on the clip. Personally, before y'all get into it, it just sounded like he was bashing from complaining and not doing no action. So based on the video in the audio that we just played, what do you guys think about it?
Go ahead, Moose. Go ahead. I know you over there stewing over there.
Do you agree with him or do you not agree with him?
It's like, it's difficult because it's like half and half. It's half because I get what he was trying to say. I just don't think the word complaining was the best word to use
at all.
Like he could have worded that 10 times. Like once you got past the complaining part, he was making a little bit more sense. But like once you start out with they're complaining, it was like, guy, you never said that. And it's just that was my thing. It's like how I look at it is this in terms of the WNBA. Like I think correct me if I'm wrong, like I don't know, are half of the women WNBA teams are owned by NBA teams, right?
I think so. We have a part in
I believe so.
Yeah.
But that's fairly new.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because like my thing is that if you're looking at it from a standpoint of the teams that actually, like the WNBA teams that are owned by NBA teams, by all means, I would go off. You get what I'm saying? Because you have that revenue. You know what I'm saying? You have that revenue. You're paying them. You're paying top players as well. There shouldn't be anything that has to do with funding or sponsorship or endorsements, because if the NBA is getting the endorsements, your whole organization is getting the endorsements. It's not just y'all. You know what I mean? Like the G League, I'm pretty sure the G League gets endorsements from their G League teams gets endorsements. So why can the WNBA team get endorsements? Now I don't know how it works with non-NBA owners, but if they're just sole owners that just own a WNBA team, for me, I don't know how that would work as well, because I don't know what their objectives are. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they own a team, but some people are just like, yeah, like I just own the team, just say I own the team. And I think that what they need to do at that point is that they actually do need to go and do more, because it's tricky at that point, because you have to find those endorsements. You have to talk to the league as well, because what Draymond did have a point on was that, yeah, like the NBA brings in hella money. They have the TV money, endorsement money, Nike money, all that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like for the WNBA players, I can see where your frustration is about equal pay and things of that nature, but it does also fall on the owners. And if you're not getting paid what y'all deserve to be getting paid, y'all really could boycott. And yeah, y'all love the sport, but at the same time, if y'all want what y'all want, definitely boycott. I'm all down for fucking up people's money or messing up people's money. So it's like, if you're down to mess up people's money and mess up your owner's money, then go ahead.
Yeah, so the WNBA players just recently started getting, I think last year, within the last 2 years, just started making like six-figure salaries, and that's only for the top players. You know what I'm saying? The base salary for a WNBA player a couple years ago was like 40, 50 grand. You know what I'm saying? Which is like a teacher salary. You know what I mean? But they make millions overseas. That's the thing. You know what I mean? So I think, again, the words that Draymond used weren't good. Complained. I think these women have been doing their very best to try and get more money from the league and equal pay. As far as getting I forget the owner's name for the Atlanta Dream, getting her out of there after what she came out and had to say about social justice and being on the front lines of with the Breonna Taylor situation and the George Floyd. So I don't think they really do a lot of complaining. I think the wordplay was bad. Only in the WNBA, I feel like they have the issue with, they have the revenue argument. And like, because when you talk about women's soccer, they bring in way more money than the men, but they don't get paid what the men get paid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense, because they're the top team in the world. They've been the top team in the world for the past, 10 years or so. The men's team hasn't even been able to make the last World Cup or qualify for the Olympics. You know, they can't even qualify for the Olympics. So I don't understand why they haven't been compensated the same way. So I think and I think as many players, NBA players that support the WNBA and their players, and as many owners that are involved, like Magic Johnson is a part owner of the LA Sparks, I'm surprised that there hasn't been much more of a push to help them expand their game in the way that the NBA has as well, because they have seem like they have the right people in place for the most part.
And on top of that, I think it's even the women that was on the first take, because they had the people that responded to was the women's Wednesday first take, her take, or whatever it may be. And the valid point that I think the vice president of I think it was the WNBCA, the Players Association for the Women's WNBA, whatever it may be. I may have got the acronyms wrong, but that's besides the point, was that they weren't just fighting necessarily on like the revenue aspect, but just fighting for like paid maternity leave and things of that nature that women deserve when they're in the workforce that they didn't have prior. So a valid point that stuck out to me was that also Draymond, you know the individuals that were on that panel on First Take, and women that are in the organization and the Players Association for the WNBA. So instead of going on air saying they're complaining and saying they're not putting plans together to make things happen, why aren't you making those phone calls to be like, all right, this is what you guys should be doing. This is how we did it over here at the NBA to get what we wanted. Maybe we can help you on this side and give you a little blueprint so you can apply to what you guys are fighting for on that side. And to Toby's point, I don't necessarily think a boycott will work necessarily because they don't have that much leverage when it comes to the overall standing of like bringing in revenue, whatever it may be.
True.
But having that backing from the players in the NBA and bringing things to that organization as the WNBA as a whole, I think that would work on on a more like grander scale and trying to get things done in the long run.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I would just like, cause me, I'm for me, I'm all about holding out and messing up people's money. Because the number one thing is when it comes to the people who are at the top, the number one thing that they care about more than anything is money. It's money. And once you start playing with people's money, that's when they start listening. And so my thing is that, like, maybe not in a sense maybe not in a sense of boycott, say don't play, but maybe boycott in a sense of like, I'm not saying that they're not doing anything. I just want to make that clear, but just make sure that you're doing something that grabs the attention of people. Because it's like once that happens, that's when people start to pay attention. Like, for example, I mean, I know LeBron, I know Kyrie, obviously Kobe as well. Rest in peace to him. Like, I know they've all been, trying to make moves and trying to bring attention to the WNBA. But I think there needs to be more that's gonna be done. Someone like LeBron would definitely help the WNBA if he probably went and spoke and said something. Kyrie could too, and KD could too. And like, I would definitely, I mean, if they ever listen to this, like, I would definitely challenge them to definitely try to push for that. Because it's like, you guys are like the top athletes in the world. You guys are the top basketball players in the world. Granted, we already know that you've helped, supplying salaries, things of that nature to some of the players, but it's like, do more so y'all don't have to do that. Like, the problem is that y'all don't have to do that. And they have to get an external means to get their salaries. That's a problem. You know what I mean? Yeah, that shouldn't be a situation. And I think that, like, more top male basketball players went and said something. I think it'll make a difference. So,
I mean, there have been players that have helped, like Kyrie for the. So you know how the women had their WNBA bubble last year as well. They had ING Academy down in Florida. So if they skipped their bubble, they weren't getting paid. A lot of them didn't go to that bubble. Kyrie took it upon himself to pay their salaries. So I think when you do things like that, you need to take that and take it to the next level, in a sense, because they've had so many advocates, even like you said, the late Kobe Bryant, who said that the women are more fundamentally sound than the men are because, just because of how they have to be in their game. You know what I mean? So I think that, like I said, they have the right people in place, like a Magic Johnson owning the Sparks. You have legendary coaches like who was the white guy that played for the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons, Dan Marley. He's the coach for the Las Vegas Aces. You know what I'm saying? They have Derek Fisher is the coach for the LA Sparks. You know what I'm saying? So these guys understand the struggles that these women are going through. So I think it's also upon them as well, knowing the knowledge that they do have to help these women out as much as they can. And for Draymond to say that they're just complaining and they don't have any plans, that's how the fuck you gonna sit there and even say that? Because they came up with a plan, bro. We might not know about it, but I'm sure they've gone to the WNBA with plans on how to make the game better.
I mean, Draymond also the one that he don't care about having a playoff spot. So I mean, he be talking out his ass. You know that.
Yeah, Draymond be on some other stuff sometimes. Let's jump into some more some more crazy stuff. So first of all, we got to give a shout out to Roy Williams. You know what I'm saying? One of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time. From North Carolina, announced his retirement. He announced it on April Fool's. So everybody thought it was a joke, but he was dead serious when he said he's not coaching anymore. So they elevated Hubert Davis. I guess he's the lead assistant from North Carolina. He becomes
that's 10 years.
He becomes the fourth ever African American coach in the history of the university, not just basketball, in the history of all the sports of the university. And he's under fire too. Another guy who went from being chill to and some random stuff. So we're gonna play the clip real quick, let the listeners hear, and then we're gonna react like normal. So here's a clip of him at his first press conference as being announced the coach of North Carolina. Take a listen and we'll talk. So you guys heard what he said. He had us in the beginning. And then that transition was, everybody's reaction was like, huh?
I was just like, what? Why did he say that at the end?
In the words of Dr. Umar Johnson, you may not bring your white wife. You may not bring your white wife. You may not bring your white wife. It's like, nah, that was just mad random.
What?
Yeah, big psych no on that. The fuck is you talking about?
What are you talking about?
You never saw that video? You never saw that Dr. Umar Johnson video where he's like, you may not bring your white wife?
That shit don't apply to us.
Yo.
What?
I'm about to cut that clip out.
Yo.
This man, but on a serious note, that's wild. That's wild. But on a serious note, how do you guys feel about him after because the beginning he was laying down like the history, the facts about all right this, but then to just throw in I'm proud of this. Like, how did y'all feel like when you were listening and then him just saying that like out of nowhere? What was the relevance?
I mean, I personally thought it was weird because he was talking about being African American, honestly, and he said, I'm sure he is proud of his wife as he should be, right? And I'm sure he probably went on to say that he loves his family and all. I don't know what he said after, but I thought it was just a weird transition to go from talking about a major accomplishment that you have as a Black man to then say what he said. And I don't know, just the transition of it was weird. You know what I mean? I thought he was going to go, that's not the direction I thought he was going to keep going in, right? But before y'all jump in, I'll say, I wonder if, because that's considered the South, right? I wonder if it's like that in a lot of universities. Because when I started to think about it, I'm like, there's really not that many Black colleges in the South in general. You know what I'm saying?
I wonder like what is it like? Is what a lot like the rest?
If there's a lot of black head coaches at a lot of those colleges down there, like I thought about Clemson, South Carolina, Florida State, and like not even all like of the smaller schools. Obviously, all the HBCUs have Black head coaches, but when I started to think about the bigger ones like Duke, NC State, when I started to think about a lot of those universities, I'm like, I don't know if they have Black coaches either. You know what I mean? So I thought it was interesting. But as far as that goes, I thought it was a weird transition.
Now that we're talking about it, though, you brought that point up. It sparks an idea in my head, like I thought, that what if he made that statement because of the culture down there, saying that, all right, I'm this Black guy that's running this top program, and I had this relationship, like it is what it is. Like you're not gonna like try to make it out to be a thing. You're not going to use it against me. I'm proud of this situation based on like the history and past of the South. You feel me? Like it was looked down upon or whatever it may be. This is a thought, not saying that's what he's saying. I'm just saying, like, what if that?
There's a lot of folks in the South that are uncomfortable with that. That are uncomfortable with him having a white wife, especially in the South.
Yeah,
especially in the South.
For all that, he just should have never said anything. Like he should never been like, I'm proud to be Black. I'm proud to be this, because it's like, we understand that you're proud and all that, but it's like for you to do that, it kind of just took away from this. It just took away from it. It's like for all that, like, don't say it and just show it. Yeah, you have a white wife, you're proud of it. But now that you put that, like, that's my thing about things, right? If you're gonna do something, just do something and be good for that thing, right? Very quick transition, right? Look at Lizzo. Lizzo is a very, very talented woman.
Yeah.
But why do we talk about her?
Because
her antics. Because she's fat. Straight up. Not because of the fact of it's a problem, but because she's made that emphasis. So my thing is, going back to this, it's like when you make an emphasis on something that you don't need to make an emphasis on, that's all people are going to talk about. When you go in,
that's a good point.
Now you let's say hypothetically speaking, he has a perfect season. He even wins March Madness. They're going to talk about his white wife. It's going to happen. If he has a great first season, they're going to talk about his white wife because you made the emphasis. And now, even if a few weeks later, maybe he's still having a good season, they're still going to bring up his wife because that's what people do. You made something that grabbed everybody's attention. They're going to come back and bring it up again. And it's going to be really, really bad if he comes in, he says something that as a Black man, you really, really shouldn't say. And I don't know what it is. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but that's one of the things I hope doesn't happen, where he starts coming out and he talks as if he's not really for us. Because then now if that happens, we're going to look at it as, okay, so what's the point of you? What was the point of you saying all that? All for you now to say something that doesn't even, that kind of shows that you're, how do I say this? It kind of shows that you're not necessarily kind of being proud about what you were saying that you were proud about in the first place.
So you're basically saying like what are you saying was kind of like a backhanded compliment on the
like you're, I guess, backhanded proudness, I guess. Where it's
that's
like,
what I mean, like a backhanded,
like,
like he just and then try to like slip it under there, like, oh, I'm proud of this.
Yeah,
this too. Like just to.
But you think it'll be held against her for that long?
I don't think so.
I don't think it'll be held against him for that long. I think it's just a moment in time right now during his introductory press conference where it just went away that people weren't expecting it to go. I don't think there's anything wrong with what he said. I mean, if you're proud of your family, talk about your family. Because I'm sure he probably went on to say, I'm proud that I have a white wife and I'm proud of my kids and I'm proud that I have all this and blah, 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 living in the South, blah, blah, blah. But I just thought that he went from like one extreme to another. So that's what just made it kind of weird.
Yeah, that clip kind of made it like, what the heck? But like you said, if you probably watch the extended version, watch the press conference, it's probably like a full version of him just thinking that whatever it may be. But the only way I could see it like being like a problem is like he starts losing, and then you know how people send hate mail, fan mail, you're gonna get all that crazy stuff, like whatever it may be. But
especially
in
the
grand
South.
scheme of things, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know if it's gonna be like an issue after this moment, this viral moment that it happened.
But the internet is a very cruel place.
Yeah, I mean,
you know firsthand.
I do. The internet is a very cruel place.
You know firsthand on Twitter, bro.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was so long.
Do you still get tweets in response to that?
No, bro. I muted that tweet. So
you muted it? Okay.
Yo, the funniest thing,
resurface that, John.
Yo, bro, the funniest thing about that whole day was that, like,
you gotta tell people what happened. Tell everybody what happened.
So back in the that was like that was like
last year.
A year ago, No Name Gypsy had said something, and No Name Gypsy was talking about J. Cole, the Kendrick Lamars of the world, and basically saying that they don't do enough to help Black culture. Okay. So I'm like, okay, the hell does No Name Gypsy do? She's in Chicago. I would say she's a C-list rapper, C-, on the infamy scale. And I was like, okay, so what does she do? She's like, oh, she owns a book club on Patreon or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but how does a book club directly help the community? And everybody's like, oh, what the fuck do you mean? Oh, you're so fucking stupid. And I'm looking and I'm like,
you went viral, bro. You went viral.
And I'm looking at them and I'm like, this is at 7:00 in the morning. I was like, okay, cool. And then it was just going and going and going. My boy had texted me because Dragonfly Jones had caught the tweet, and I'm just looking and I'm like, damn, this shit is nuts.
Big time now.
Went to an interview for like 2.5 hours, came back. My mentions were in shambles. And I'm looking like, bro, it's not that deep. Like I'm looking like my Twitter app frozen. Like I can't refresh nothing. I'm like, yo, it's not that deep. Like the point of what I said, like was still a point. And I'm like, okay, if I read The Cat in the Hat at a book club, does that help the community? Because my fraternity brother's like, yeah, nah, bro, delete that tweet. I'm like, nigga, no. No, I'm not deleting this. Like, I said what I said, and I'm going to double down on it. Like,
you still stand on it?
Yeah, just because you have a book club with a bunch of people doesn't directly affect the community. Like, okay, you have a book club, but people are still getting shot in Chicago.
I feel you.
You know what frustrates me about the whole situation, right? And this is just like media as a whole today. It's like you can't have a fucking opinion about shit, bro, without motherfuckers just hating what the fuck you have to say. Like, so the fuck what you feel that way? Okay. I mean, there's plenty of fucking shit that I don't disagree with motherfuckers about. Plenty. I don't go on and say, oh, you dumb motherfucker, you don't know shit. You a whole fucking college graduate, bro. You trying to go to law school. You are not a stupid or a dumb individual. You know what I'm saying? So like that shit like that, I'm like, you really can't say shit. That's why I don't even be fucking tweeting no more, bro. Because it's like, yo, as soon as you have a fucking opinion that a group of people doesn't agree with, all of a sudden they trying to cancel you and tell you that you don't know shit about shit.
They came in like a tribe at them. Like my thing is, you just ask the question, bro. You just pose the question.
That's what I said, and it's like when people, and this is the problem, right? Like people just assume. Like you can't assume anything nowadays. You know what I mean? And it's like people assume things, and you assume that okay, this is what X, Y, and Z is supposed to do. Like you're just supposed to assume that this is going to happen. You're supposed to assume either good or bad is supposed to happen. And that's where my problem has came in, where it's like, even going back to a lot of my reoccurring arguments on here, like about whether it's Twitter feminism, red pill stuff, just dating, all this stuff, like people just assume. They just assume. We're just supposed to assume every single guy is going to sexually harass a woman. We just assume that every single woman that comes to it that dates a guy is the victim. We just assume that everybody thinks the same. And it's like groupthink is such a big problem nowadays. It frustrates me because when you start to have general ideas, all you need is 100K followers and just nice placement of words. And now all of a sudden, now you're think piece poppy on Twitter. And it's like, you don't even be knowing half the shit you be saying. People be having PhDs on their account and be spouting the biggest nonsense because they don't even be looking up half of the information they even have. It's like, let's take this for example, right? I saw a tweet the other day. It was about sex trafficking. They put up a picture of like people who were going to jail for sex trafficking. And ironically, some guy had put up, he's one of these guys that I follow. He was saying that like, what's funny was that I did some research, and what a lot of people don't know is that women are one of the biggest organizers of sex trafficking. But people wouldn't know that because they don't do their research. But because of the way the internet makes you think, you're going to assume that men are the reason why sex trafficking happens. And he was saying what makes it even funnier is that little boys are the biggest victims of sex trafficking. But people on the internet won't let you think that. It's the same thing with going to black men. Like, they just assume, oh, black men don't do this. Black men don't do this. Black men don't do that. Like I've said before plenty of times on here, it's like, there's so many things that are against our favor as black men in America. Not saying black women don't have anything against them because before they started attacking us, but there's a lot of things that go against us in our favor.
You couldn't help yourself, could you, bro?
No,
you couldn't help
I knew
yourself.
I knew you was
You was on a roll, bro. You was on a roll. All you
No,
had
let
to
me
do
stop.
is
I thought we was gonna go one
going.
episode without you mentioning it.
Damn.
Let me stop. No, but on a serious note, though, it's like there's so many things that affect us as black men, and people just kind of assume that it's okay. You see a Jay-Z or a Kanye, or you see some Twitter influencers in a rented out Ferrari, like we're supposed to have that type of bread. And the reality is that when you look at statistics, that doesn't happen for most of us. Like when you look at statistics, we're less likely to get jobs. We're less likely to be in certain positions. And people don't do that research. You just assume that, oh, black men are this, and this. Black men need to do this, da, 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 da. And that's just the assumption. And we don't ever go out of our way to think, why do we think that is? Or, hey, how do me as said demographic affect or cultivate an environment in which a black man can thrive, or in a situation where Asian people can thrive, or said demographic can thrive? People don't look at it like that. It's just, oh, they're right because they have 100K followers. Oh, it's said properly. I agree. Like everybody should assume everybody cheats. It's not necessarily true. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it is what it is, bro.
The last topic I want to touch on before we wrap it up is Utah. They put a new law. It says what you guys put in the group chat. It says a new Utah law requires biological fathers to pay half of a woman's out-of-pocket pregnancy costs. The bill's sponsor says it's an effort to decrease the burden of pregnancy on women. Critics argue it could make abusive situations even more dangerous. How do you guys feel about that?
How would it make abusive
Instead it could make abusive situation even more dangerous?
Yeah.
Okay.
How?
Yeah. So I mean, if you're somebody that's an abuser, right? I'm just give you a hypothetical scenario and tell me how you feel about this. You're somebody that's an abuser. You knock up somebody that you don't really like because you abuse them on a regular basis. And you know in the back of your mind that you're gonna have to now come out of pocket to pay for half of the bill because you're the biological father. Wouldn't you, and say you don't have that bread to pay for them, would an abuser not be more prone to try to maybe do something to affect that pregnancy happening?
For sure.
I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is not to dismiss that, but I also believe that like the chances of that happening are a lot smaller than the cases of what I think would be the bigger problem for a lot of people is realizing who the daddy is.
You're on a fucking roll today, bro. You're on fire today, bro.
I'm lying? Think about it. I don't like.
Yo, what is this fucking Mari, bro? Like, what the fuck type of shit is you on?
No.
Busology 101. Explain your theory.
Think about it. Think about it. Like, honestly, think about it. This is not saying that situation is not likely to happen, but what I'm also thinking about is if the first thing that you thought about was abusers and you had to, don't get me wrong, it's a possible situation, but the fact that you have to mold that situation for it to happen, the first thing I thought, like, that's a problem that you have to mold it into that. My first thing was, looks like anybody who gets knocked up or anybody who has extra kids, they're just going to get exposed in Utah. That's the first thing I thought about. Nothing else. because it's like what people.
Let me respond to what you just said.
Actually,
right?
yeah, respond to what I
Let
just
me
said.
respond to what you just said. Okay, so from what I'm taking from what you're saying is right for as many women as there are out there that are having sex with men and might not know who the father is, there's also a ton of men out there that's fucking a bunch of women, not wrapping up and knocking them up too. Okay,
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that that's really going to be the main issue. As far as the bill goes itself, I don't have a problem with it at all. And I think that'll lighten the burden on women, because I feel like a lot of times in the situation that we're talking about specifically here, when there's a lot of motherfuckers that'll just knock a girl up and then leave her, you know what I'm saying, and or not deal with her. I think now this is going to hold them accountable to now you got to be in your child's life now. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to be somewhat, at least in the beginning. Now you got to come out of pocket. You might not have to be in her life necessarily, but now you got to come out of pocket at least.
I think
so now that they got your information, now you're gonna be on that child support for real now.
I think that also puts into the conversation the situation of like, damn, I lost my train of thought. But I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think that that's what it was. I think that this is also going to bring to the conversation of having a paternity test after childbirth. So I think that's important too.
After childbirth, like making sure like the child is theirs.
Yeah, because it's like you can't sit here and say because said person is married to whatever person that's automatically the father, right? Like
it's a cold world out here, dog. Don't nobody trust nobody.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm telling you, yo.
I'm glad I got me in mind.
I ain't gonna hold you. I was not expecting you to say that. You said, "Oh, I think the bigger issue," but that Joe was funny. I ain't gonna hold you. Like that threw me off.
I mean,
that threw me off too. That threw me off too for sure.
That threw me off.
Like, but do you get that though? It's like, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand that that's a problem. But think about the fact that you had to mold that scenario.
I feel what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, like
yeah.
I just wasn't expecting you to say that.
I mean, the solution is that I would say is either use protection or know who you're sleeping with. And if you're not going to use protection, be prepared to have a child. In that case, that's all. You know, if you don't want to deal with none of this bullshit of getting paternity tests, whether the child is yours, know who you're sleeping with, or wrap your shit up. On both sides.
Wait. I gotta say something though. What about the people that are in like the girls that, like we said about the girls that are in situations that may get raped or something like that? They don't know, like that type of thing.
I think that's a totally different situation. I mean, if you don't know, then I mean, you don't know. Yeah. And a situation like that, from that situation, I mean, that's a very stressful situation in and of itself.
So with this law now, because I don't want to go on a tangent because we're wrapping up, but with that scenario I just put up with a situation of that magnitude,
that's tough.
When you go into that pregnancy and a woman's about to give birth, and they don't know who the father is of the kid, is it the hospital's duty to just hold that half of that whatever fee it is and not put it on the woman, or what are they gonna do?
That's why if a situation like that happens, this is me being optimistic on the strength of a woman to explain the situation that happened to her. Because then at that point, a couple of things happen. She gets raped and she gets pregnant, God forbid, and the situation happens where she really doesn't know who it is. That helps you find the abuser, helps you find the rapist. And in my opinion, take it a step further, motherfuckers should cover all the costs, then send him to jail.
I don't disagree.
I don't disagree.
The question that I have about it is, say a woman, I mean, what if they really don't know whose child it is, right? If you pay all this money up front and then you come to find out that it's not your child, are you getting that money back and they're going to charge the next man? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I need to look deeper into the schematics of how it's going to work. You know what I'm saying? Because how is that going to work? Like, she's accusing me of, she's saying this child is mine. I don't think this child is mine. Or like you said, are they going to have something that they're going to put off to the side until that child is born, then you do paternity, then you get it all dumped on you. Like, I don't know how the schematics of that are going to work out in that situation.
The reason I think it may not be, I mean, obviously it's a very complicated situation, very complicated law, like when you come to it. But I think we gotta look at where this law is taking place. It's in Utah, which is a totally different culture than like a lot of
polygamous. Yeah,
like, it's a lot of different. So I mean,
I
don't know the details of, like, the culture like that. I know the surface level stuff, but I don't know like what goes on and how they do like the relationships, and they're not allowed to have sex before marriage, whatever it may be. So I mean, maybe that's all playing into that aspect of the way they want people to live in that in their society. So I mean, it was a good convo today, man. I enjoyed this conversation for sure.
I did too.
Moose was on a roll today.
Yeah,
a lot of more Moosology clips on the way for sure.
I just be honest, yo. You just gotta be honest. You're not honest.
If y'all don't got anything else, man, that's all I got. Is episode 59. We got one more episode left of the season. We on a little vacay. You know what I'm saying? A little vacay until we bring back the next season. But this season flying, boy.
Yes, flying. It's been the fastest one thus far. I just sent you the picture of the day Mills of us 2 years ago recording at the shop.
Yeah, the first John.
Yeah.
Moose was there. I remember that's what Moose was behind the scenes. Now he's on the scene.
Yeah. It's wild.
It's crazy. Time be flying, but that's all I got. Episode 59 of the Face of the Future podcast. It's your boy Mills.
It's your boy Shan.
It's your boy Moosology, baby.
You're a nut, bro. I'm out of here. Peace.
Peace.